Welcome to Insights for Manufacturing, the podcast that supports the UK manufacturing sector. Hosted by Jeff Beecham, the manufacturer's recruiter. Hello and welcome to Insights for Manufacturing. I'm delighted to welcome my guest today, Chelsey Baker, who's the CEO and founder of National Mentoring Day. Welcome to the show, Chelsey. How are you?
Thank you, Jeff. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you for inviting me.
You're very welcome. So, Chelsey, this is an area we're talking about mentoring today. In the main, it's an area that I'm familiar with, but certainly not an expert in. But you're a pitch and public speaking expert. So, tell me about your experience in this.
Oh wow, where do I begin? So yeah, I back in the day, I started my career as a television presenter, and that led on to me becoming an international speaker. And it was wonderful. I was presenting business shows and award ceremonies all over the world. And that's where, I started mentoring others on how to be able to speak on television, how to deliver keynote presentations, and how to speak in front of a live audience. It can be terrifying for some people. I remember when I was in Barcelona speaking at Mobile World Congress, and I looked out onto the audience and there was just thousands of like little tiny dots. That was their heads. You just couldn't see anything. It could be terrifying. And, people really do have that fright of public speaking. So I love working with people on their voice, really getting them to sharpen their delivery, their tone, their voice, their body language, and teaching them to be authentic. That's the biggest thing about public speaking, is people are often trying to be somebody that they're not. And that's when it just doesn't come across as authentic. So teaching them to be authentic while still having a presence, that magnetism, and utilizing their energy to have that confidence to wow an audience. Otherwise, they're just leaving their audiences flat. So it's a little bit similar to Shark Tank or Dragon's Den in the UK. I've worked on over 1,000 business pitches with individuals, entrepreneurs, and teaching clients to speak to the media and journalists is another key area of pitching. People don't know what to say. They've got to be so careful when they're speaking to journalists and that. So I love it. That's my that's what led me to the stepping stone of where I am now and the mentoring.
Brilliant. And I guess the content of any sort of public speaking is really important. But as you say, the delivery of what you're actually saying is what creates gets the audience bought in and persuades them to carry on listening and get engaged.
Or switch off.
Right. You mentioned the public speaking led you into mentoring. So how did you, what were your first steps, into mentoring other people? How did that sort of come about?
So I was a business consultant. I was specializing in media, PR, and communications. And I was very lucky to have my own business advice column in some top leading magazines. And, that was giving advice. The column ran for years. And from giving and sharing my business advice, that led me to speak at a business show in London, in Excel, on a show called The Midas Touch. And I was privileged to work with Peter Jones from Dragon's Den. He was on the panel. We were all judges. And I was witnessing hundreds of these entrepreneurs coming up onto the stage to pitch their business in front of a millionaire, business investor panel. Like I said, I did this show for years. And every time, whether it was Olympia or Excel, I was seeing that they weren't confident in their pitches.
Yeah.
They didn't know how to stick to an allocated time. They were leaving off all the juicy good points to the end and rushing to finish. They weren't, I call it working to time. Their slide decks weren't colorful or vibrant or well designed. The content wasn't well structured. It wasn't exciting to an investor. It wasn't attractive. They were hugely over optimistic in their projections without any real evidence or claims or SWOT analysis to back up what they were saying. And when it comes to like body language, I can get a piece of paper, but the paper was shaking in their hands when they were holding it.
Yeah.
Their arm movements. We had ponytail flicking going on and neck scratching, and like I said, pacing in the wrong way, walking up and down. They just really were, struggling. So I realized that I could make a big difference with all the experience, 2 decades of experience doing this, like we're doing now.
Yeah.
We're on a podcast. We're filming. People don't know how to sit down and rock up and just kind of like do it. So that's how I got started in mentoring. I was mentoring people on their pitching, their presentations, their public speaking. I absolutely loved it. It was life-changing for me to share all the mistakes, the pitfalls, and the experience that I'd learned throughout my career and pass that on to someone else. It's the best gift ever to see someone grow and succeed as a result of your guidance. And that's mentoring.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was just going to say mentoring. It's all about making a difference, isn't it, for the mentee, if you like. So brilliant. So tell me about National Mentoring Day. I think it's on 27th October every year. What is it and what does it aim to achieve?
Yeah, so I mean, as you can tell, I'm very passionate about mentoring. I've seen firsthand the results, the impact that it can achieve. I've mentored hundreds of businesses across, all sectors. And I launched National Mentoring Day because there just wasn't at the time. This is back in 2014. There wasn't this awareness day. There certainly wasn't a national day to celebrate this fantastic thing called mentoring. So I launched it to raise awareness, recognizing, the benefits, the impact and value of mentoring, not only to the economy, but to business, education, sport, community, society as a whole, to recognize and celebrate the work of mentors and mentoring initiatives across the world. And it's, recognizing those people and those organizations who are making a difference.
Yeah.
Because mentoring isn't a hobby. Many people do mentoring professionally. And it's not something that, oh, yes, I've done mentoring. There needs to be this thorough education on what mentoring is and really explaining it at a deep level, the benefits. So it was inaugurated in the Houses of Parliament, House of Lords, and I just campaigned tirelessly. I have campaigned and still campaign for the past 9 years on, putting mentoring high on the government agenda and within organization, because unprecedented mentoring is levels of mentoring are really urgently needed. I get almost worked up by it because I'm the one who sits here seeing all these hundreds of emails come into my email box saying, we need more mentors. And, we are the vehicle. We are the only organization that is giving prominence to these mentoring initiatives and providing them with a national voice to amplify their mentoring stories, their news, their impact, their data, their events, give them shout outs for their mentors, and basically encourage people to take that, to go for it, to say, put their hand up and say, actually, yeah, I need a mentor. I'm looking for a mentor, or I have skills and experience and knowledge to share. I want to be a mentor. It's just that wonderful, wonderful gift, mentoring. It really is.
Absolutely. And I suppose, I mean, my world of executive search is, focused around, directors, senior managers and C-suite. But I mean, mentoring applies to any level in business. But certainly from a leadership point of view, I was only having a conversation earlier with a colleague about, over the last, not just through COVID and Brexit, but, over the last sort of 2 or 3 years, there's been an absolute turmoil in the world. And from a business perspective, how often do leaders appear in the mind of their workforce, of their teams, of their employees? They're there, people should follow the leaders. But when does anybody else spare a thought for the immense pressure leaders go under, being able to keep their businesses open, to keep staff employed? Have we got enough cash in the business? All of these things, regulatory and legislative demands. Leadership isn't easy.
Oh no.
And there must be some really lonely CEOs out there who, they might have great teams, but when they have challenges, they need time to think for themselves. This critical thinking about the choices they're making, the decisions, and many of them will have coaches and mentors, but not all. So mentoring is really important, and I'm totally behind what you said. I think the success stories, the challenges, and the stories and case studies of the difference mentoring has made should be spread far and wide. I think that's brilliant. So how do people get involved in National Mentoring Day, Chelsey?
Yeah, I'm sure I can definitely give you that. I just wanted to touch on something you said though. It can be very, very lonely at the top. Throughout my career, I have mentored so many chief executives and C-suite level, and it's just deliberating because they can't share the turmoil that they're going through with their workforce. This is why it's so important. I mean, lots of successful business owners, they have 4 or 5 mentors, and let's just get this out in the open. You can have a mentor for marketing, you can have a mentor for strategy, you can have a mentor for biz dev, you can have a PR mentor, you can have a public speaking mentor, pitching mentor. You don't need to try and find a mentor who is all singing, all dancing, and all things to all people. So, it isn't like, oh yes, I've had a mentor and now I can move on. You need to regularly have mentors throughout every stage of your career. That's a key thing. A problem aired is a problem shared, and I think that's exactly the whole point of what a mentor is. So the big way that people can get involved in National Mentoring Day is that we ask everyone to join our mentor challenge. Now, as we've just been discussing, everyone has skills, experience, or knowledge to share and pass on as a mentor. So we encourage everyone to mentor one person for 1 hour on the 27th of October. It could be in on around that day, but try and do it on the 27th of October to, maximize the fact that you're collectively taking part in something huge. Theory behind this is that if everyone worldwide just gives 1 hour of their time to mentor someone, the ripple effect can be huge. It will be huge. This is because so many people who've been mentored, they go on to then mentor someone else. So that's the big global challenge. You use hashtag National Mentoring Day to tell us that you've taken part. And for organizations, companies, enterprise, charities, and non-profits, in the lead up to the big day, we encourage organizations who have a mentoring initiative to use National Mentoring Day to highlight their own mentors, thank their mentors, and showcase the achievements that their mentoring program has achieved, and to really put their mentors and their mentoring program in the spotlight. And for organizations that don't have a mentoring initiative, of course, we implement them. And really the whole campaign is around sharing what's worked for you. We have I mentor or I support mentoring selfie cards, and organizations can take a group shot with their employees holding the signs, and we have free thank your mentor cards. They can sign up for National Mentoring News. And you got to use the 27th. This is not about me or National Mentoring Day. This is about the organizations, the people that are involved. I created this so that organizations can use the National Day to, put a sign up and say, right, we're opening a new mentor recruitment drive. We're opening up a new cohort or program for our mentees. It's a fantastic time to publish policy or research or write a press release and show that your company or organization is invested in its people, which is critical at this time. So, please put 27th of October in your diary now, put a marker on.
I'm certainly going to do that. Absolutely. And so there's lots of promotional opportunities there to get involved with National Mentoring Day. So for whether it's a leader or a team member within a business, no matter what the sort of level is, if there are individuals out there who haven't had a mentor previously and we were thinking of the best way to sort of convince them to, maybe take that step, because some people are a little bit fearful of opening up with some of the challenges that they have. How would you sort of articulate the benefits of mentoring to a potential mentee for the first time?
Oh, there's far too many to speak about. I could be here all day. Mentoring really can help increase confidence in so many ways, because you've got someone there, you've got a mentor there that you have a sounding board to try things out with, to ask questions to. You can't ask these questions to your boss or to colleagues around you for the fear of what they might think of you. It's essential to try things out with the mentor and to receive that relevant guidance and feedback from someone who's been there before is absolutely priceless.
Yeah.
You get, with that sounding board, you get to hear a different perspective. The mentor can suggest like alternative pathways or shortcuts. And, on the whole, though, mentoring enables the mentee to resolve challenges. And of course, it helps with personal and professional development. The mentor can, not always, but they can provide and open up access to their database, their contacts, their resources, their networks. And of course, they can help you in identifying new skills or strengths that you never knew that you had. And of course, the good thing that they're great at is spotting areas of weakness. Like, you still haven't done that, Chelsey. Why haven't you done that? Are you struggling with that? Is there something I should know about? You start to really see your own weaknesses and strengths with a mentor. So ultimately, they help you to inspire and motivate you and get you to be more accountable to the tasks that you said that you were going to do and achieve your goals. But for the majority of people, certainly in all the mentoring that I've done, it increases that self-awareness, that self-belief, that self-esteem, that self-realization of what you've got yourself into if you're running a company, and provides that accountability. So summary for me is that you can achieve your goals far quicker than going it alone with the support and guidance of a mentor.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. One of the topics I wanted to just have a quick chat about next is something that a lot of companies struggle with, and that's succession planning. And it's an important part of any good people strategy. Whether it's leadership level throughout the organization, it provides a sustainable future for the business, through an appropriate talent pipeline. So mentoring can play a big part in getting people prepared for the demands of, say, a bigger role. Internal mentors are, a valuable resource given their knowledge of the business. But what's most important in the mentoring process when it comes to succession planning, Chelsey?
Well, I think with succession planning, one of the most important aspects of developing future leaders and managers is helping them to have the confidence themselves to lead and to take on these new greater responsibilities, to gain that confidence in their own ability. And they get that by receiving direct feedback and insights from the mentor. So it's invaluable in succession planning because it makes the company more resilient, not to depend and rely on certain individuals, and it can really make the company more robust. So what I like to say is that no amount of education or skills or training can come close to real life, real world knowledge from a mentor, from someone who's been there before. It's absolutely invaluable. So I think the key points to the mentoring process is you got to have that correct mentor-mentee matching that allows for this cross-generational wisdom transfer. And that's primarily to ensure that the mentee gains wisdom far beyond their scope, far beyond their position within the company, and really views the organization, perhaps as a whole if they're a C-suite, but from an entirely different view. So that's key. And secondly, it's reporting, good reporting and analytics. We're all great at giving advice and giving guidance, but is the mentee actually acting on this guidance, or is he just sucking it up and going, oh, okay, and not really doing anything with it? So good reporting needs to be in place to ascertain how is the mentee doing? Is he taking action? Is he growing? Or what pace is he growing at? That's key. And thirdly, to be given the opportunity to provide feedback, both for the mentee and the mentor, and of course to the HR manager as well. That's key. You could do that by running a survey to ensure good mentor matching.
Yeah.
And integrity is absolutely key. Finding out, is everyone acting professionally? Is the mentee not turning up? Is it the third time that they've not shown up? Are they acting professionally with integrity? Are they respecting each other and the corporate culture, the company culture? You have to keep an eye on this, and without the feedback, reporting or monitoring, so that's absolutely essential in the process.
Absolutely. So how does mentoring support innovation in a business or in a team or in an individual?
Oh, in a great way. I remember when I was working for the government's one of the government programs, I think it was Innovate UK. It's wonderful. Mentoring is a transfer of knowledge and wisdom and experience. And if you can imagine all that stack of wisdom and knowledge acquired throughout the years, if that was available to individuals and businesses and teams, like a human library. If it wasn't for mentoring, all of that knowledge and experience would go untapped. So mentoring allows the mentee to access so much more and to be so much more. So it's about leveraging the capabilities, learning from expertise and experience that really can propel and accelerate with innovation. I've seen it. Would this allow businesses to continuously innovate if they had access to all of this information and shared wisdom and shared experience? Would it allow companies to grow faster? Absolutely. It's key for innovation. And of course, don't forget these innovators, they're humans, they're people. By investing in your people, you're letting them know that they're valued, and that boosts productivity. I'm sure you know what it's like to work for somebody and you don't feel appreciated. Are you going to be innovating at a high speed if you're not appreciated or valued? No, you're just going to be doing your job and, slowly, gently does it. And now, if your people feel valued, mentoring is going to help boost productivity, the culture, the way that you can collaborate within a team. It's astounding what can be, propelled forward when you have that support in place.
Yeah, and I really liked what you said there about the the boost in an individual's innovation, because certain people are naturally creative, so certain individuals are just natural innovators, but to be an innovator, you've also got to have the passion to do it. You might have an idea, but if you're not engaged in the business, if the culture really sucks and you're just not feeling valued, that passion's not there. So I guess mentoring, as you said earlier, builds that sort of that confidence, and it brings out all of the best things that are already within that individual, and I suppose the added experience from somebody who's been there, seen it and done it will give the mentee a wider skill set sometimes and a bit of wider knowledge and confidence to maybe try something else. So I see that as as boosting that passion and that sort of that willingness to actually put a spark of an idea into practice. How far can I really take this? And I think that's something. But
Jeff,
a bit
you
magical.
said it. If you've got that person, that mentor there, they are the spark. They can just be the catalyst, the switch. I like to say the passion that I've got in helping people with their businesses and everything else is to be the spark that person needs. And then I've seen so many people and their businesses and their organizations fly because they've got that platform to try something out, and in that trusted that space, and it's the propellant. It really is. It's like liquid nitrogen. So thank you for reminding me about that. But
brilliant.
And that's the gift, Jeff. That's the gift of mentoring, is that you're allowed to be that flame for somebody, their champion. It's just beautiful.
Exactly. So, mentoring, it's a positive way of nurturing talent to become the best that they can be. Clearly, an external mentor will naturally be impartial because there's no direct connection or conflict of interest. But are there any risks around internal mentors? Because sometimes you can have a mentor in a business that might have their own agenda, or they might have a biased view on the individual or the reason behind the mentoring. They might have a view on what's best for the mentee. How important is impartiality, and how can that be ensured, do you think?
Oh, great question. I mean, let's be honest, we all bring our biases and experience and perspectives into any relationship, whether it's business, mentoring, or personal. So it's hard to eliminate them, but this is why National Mentoring Day, we do a lot of educational and bring about so much awareness on what to do, what not to do. We've got a code of conduct. Many mentoring organizations, they have this kind of thing. And we have so many, free resources. You've seen our LinkedIn and Instagram feeds. They're flooded with invaluable tips and guidance. What should you ask? What should you say? The do's and don'ts of being a mentor. But primarily, as a mentor, you must always focus on your mentee's best interest. We're in a reputation, rate or slate society now. I've won all these awards for my mentoring, and if that's going on, it gets weeded out very, very quickly these days. As a mentee, you must trust. You need to trust your mentor.
Yeah.
And that's why some organizations, they give them a choice of one or two. Some companies, you can choose your mentor. That's part of the mentor-mentee matching process that we just talked about there. So you're not going to make somebody your mentor who's on a competitive team, direct competitive team to you or something. If it's sales, it's not how it's done. So I think, as a mentor, we must be compassionate and non-judgmental. We leave our ego at the door and committed to the mentee's success. And of course, this is why we're talking about impartiality. This is why structured mentoring programs are key.
As an executive recruiter, I quite often see organizations that, they've got high attrition, either within the wider organization or maybe in the boardroom, which is awful. Mentoring, it can have a really positive impact on staff retention too, right? Leaders can be mentored to become more people-centric, for example. And I think there's a huge need for that right now. Managers can be mentored to become leaders. And, if employees receive mentoring, they may feel more engaged. They'll, hopefully achieve better results and get a higher level of fulfillment. So what's your take on the impact of mentoring on attrition, for example?
Well, mentoring is more important than ever in these uncertain times. It plays a critical role in, yes, supporting employee engagement and retention, but reducing attrition. With all these layoffs, my goodness, we're just reading it constantly about organizations laying off people. Organizations now need to be laser focused on not losing their top talent. They don't have the budgets to recruit more people. So now it's about really maximizing productivity within the current workforce and maximizing that lifetime value of the employee. And all of this, is solvable with a mentoring program. People need to feel invested in the landscape of the workplace, especially since the pandemic, and we had all that time where people were, they went deeper into finding their purpose and meaning in their life because they actually had the time to think. The workplace landscape has changed. Employees need to feel more of a sense of belonging, a sense of purpose, and the ability to make an impact beyond just their job, their paycheck, beyond themselves. So, mentoring really strengthens these relationships. It gives people the opportunity to connect with their organization and to grow and to feel more supported. With National Mentoring Day, we've been working with a incredible organization called Mentor Cloud, and I've got to see and witness how they're actually scaling their people development through this platform, an internal human wisdom is being shared across the organization. It's just incredible. The skills that people have, they're utilizing the skills within an organization. And that is leading to higher rates of employee engagement, retention, more happiness, well-being in the workplace, more productivity, and on October last year, 27th of October, National Mentoring Day, we did a 24-hour mentoring festival, hearing from brands and organizations all over the world. And I got to hear some of these, global clients, customers of Mentor Cloud, included organizations like Marriott International, NASDAQ Entrepreneurs, Merck Group, and so many others. And I got to actually hear and see through the festival how these organizations are using mentoring to really propel their career leadership development, and hear from the mentees the actual impact that it had on them. So, people and organizations are implementing these, but not at the scale fast enough to keep up with the workforce. It's incredible to see and to leverage this internal wisdom within organizations, but organizations don't know how to do it. That's kind of why we're working with Mentor Cloud to they're the enabler to be able to have these programs incorporated.
Yeah.
But once you start, that's it. It changes everything.
Yeah. Well, we need to keep talking about mentoring and get it as much as much of an audience as possible across all platforms and throughout businesses. So,
Jeff, did you know though that the results and the data show that employees that take part in a mentoring program, they're 5 times more likely to advance in salary and stay with the company longer than those who don't. So, this is where we share a lot of statistics and things around National Mentoring Day, because the evidence is there. This isn't something that I'm just saying because I'm a fan of mentoring. I saw the Mentor Cloud impact reports of how people felt more connected to their senior level executives and how they felt more engaged. The evidence is there now.
Well, 5 times, I mean, that speaks for itself, and I suppose looking at it from an organization's perspective, because I think sometimes time and resources are maybe 2 of the excuses that some businesses might give for not providing mentoring or allowing it to happen within business time. But that, if it's going to help somebody become 5 times more productive, they're more engaged with the leadership. Well, what's leadership not going to love about that? So,
and what's the cost of wasting time and missing out on opportunities? That cost could be potentially very, very damaging to the business.
Yeah.
Mistakes and pitfalls that could have been avoided with the help of a mentoring program. Don't forget, when you have a mentoring program, it allows you to spot potential concerns. I won't go too much into this because we've got limited time, but I'm talking about mental health aspects and seeing problems happen before they arise. It's incredible.
Well, these are hidden costs, aren't they? If they're not if they're not dealt with and forecasted, if you like. So another great benefit there for mentoring programs. Thank you for that, Chelsey. Now, I know you've worked with some fascinating and high-profile organisations and individuals, and I was interested to learn. I didn't know this prior to doing a bit of research on you and your business. That in 2021, you actually presented Prince Charles, now King Charles, a special recognition award for outstanding contribution to mentoring, and that was on behalf of Prime Kimru. And that was a charity founded in 2001, I think. So Pride Kimru provides free support for mature individuals in Wales to set up in business, find jobs, develop skills, and this is through training and volunteering opportunities. So, is there a need for more charities or government initiatives to provide mentoring?
Oh, absolutely. And I must say, what an honor it was to present to King Charles. I've presented awards to a lot of movie stars and people in the past, but presenting to him, and I had to deliver a speech. It was wonderful, but it was so rightly deserved. The organization Prime Cymru, they are incredible. They've supported over 15,000 people back into the workplace. It's all from volunteering. It's all, this is in Wales. And we needed National Mentoring Day needed to honor and recognize this achievement. They're doing an incredible job encouraging people to get to start their own business, to set up in self-employment, and to get back into employment. And I've seen, it was just wonderful to meet the mentors and meet the mentees, and they all had their signs and images of all their businesses. And it was just wonderful. And King Charles went round the room and he spoke to everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does it. From a speaker myself, he spoke to every single person. He gave eye contact and talk time to every single person in that room. And it was absolutely commendable. So yeah, he founded the charity and it's still going strong. And again, they need more mentors, and this is why the government does need to provide more mentoring across all sectors. And I think that, they're great at supporting with initiatives to support certain disadvantaged youth and communities and areas and some parts of education and schools. But, National Mentoring Day should be receiving funding to support and help market all these great initiatives. We don't get anything. We're a non-profit. We receive nothing. Yeah. And we do all of this for the love of mentoring. We provide everything for free. But the government have launched like their recent Help to Grow scheme. I was very privileged to be invited on National Mentoring Day to speak at their unveiling of their new Mentoring Matters report that they launched in conjunction with Enterprise Nation, Newable, and the Association of Business Mentors. And this report was staggering. It uncovered that, yes, mentoring is the key to business growth, but still, if we look at the 5.5 million SMEs, they're yet to engage in a mentoring scheme.
Yeah.
And, I sat on the panel with all these high profile people and, it's fantastic to unveil this report. But what gets done? They've put millions into this Help to Grow scheme. But do people know about it? You've got to get it. It's all about marketing the scheme. And that's where we are the application vehicle, but we need more support. So, yes, the government need to be doing much more, to show the accessibility and the availability of what's on offer.
Yeah, absolutely. I think signposting is a huge problem for a lot of different support mechanisms, whether it's out in the community or within business. A lot of SMEs are saying that there's a lot of support there for businesses, but is it the right support? They don't necessarily need more, but it's got to be the right support. And where do people find it? SMEs typically, certainly the business owners and the leaders in these organizations are too busy. They can't spend hours and days searching for this and filling out forms. Things need to be made a little bit simple for them, but the actual signposting, where to look in the first place is really key. So let's all do our bit to fly the flag.
Yeah, it's a jungle out there.
Absolutely.
And, business owners are far too busy running their business. They haven't got time. We're just bombarded. Do you need support with your business? Do you need help with your business? We've got this tool. It's half of it's junk. Let's face it. We need to be, if the government give us a few mil, we can start listing everything correctly.
Absolutely. And in the overall scheme of things, that's not an awful lot of money, is it? So no, it'd be very, very, very well spent. So just to sort of round things up, Chelsey. I deal with a lot of leaders in business, predominantly manufacturing and engineering. If there are any listeners or viewers of the podcast who are a business individual who haven't received mentoring before, or they've got any sort of doubts, or they're sort of considering it, what advice would you give to them in seeking out the right type of mentor? I mean, are there a couple of initial first steps that they need to, is there a process where they know how to approach mentoring?
Great question. Yeah. And I think, let's relate it to questions. Ask questions to the mentor. Ask, see how they can help you. How are you going to know if they're the right person for you? As soon as you start asking those questions, researching them beforehand, do they have the relevant experience you need? It's no good. If you want to improve your public speaking and your pitching, or learn how to write an amazing press release, or take your story to the media, then I would have the relevant experience. You ask me about corporate governance and structure and accountancy, and I will say to you, I've had this before many times. I say, oh no, sorry, that's not my area of expertise. I can't support you in that.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to say no, and mentor from experience. So you never mentor. I would never mentor on accountancy when I don't have no experience in it. So check that they have the relevant experience you need. Mentoring is a relationship. It's a two-way relationship. Yeah. You need to be able to work together. On the first meeting, if something's really not gelling, then you have that opportunity to cut that short. You need to give people a chance.
Yeah.
But just like you want a builder for your house, somebody's carpet cleaner, a tradesperson, you get more than one quote. So seek out more than one mentor. Yeah. 2 or 3, and see which you prefer, because one of them is going to feel right, and he or she is going to ignite that spark in you. It's essential to really ask questions and have that not pilot, but have that trial kind of session.
Yeah. So would because sometimes mentors or coaches could be referred by a colleague to somebody else, or a friend or family member, whatever it might be. But that doesn't necessarily, what you're saying is that doesn't necessarily mean that mentor is going to be right for this particular individual, and they've got to look and see for themselves. And generally, I think we're drawn to people and individuals that make us feel like it's the right thing, it's the right style of conversation, it just feels right. So I suppose if you just take a chance and use one and it works out, that's fine. But you're advising maybe source a couple or 3 and see which one feels right for yourself.
Yeah, just have that initial chat. I used to have people, ring me all the time, and that's where I call it a discovery call. You'd have that discovery call, and you'd realize that they're fantastic for exiting in the company. I've got a list of mentors for exit and strategy and marketing. I put them into different categories. And so I think if somebody has recommended a mentor, wonderful. But how did they help them? And are you looking for that same advice and guidance? Because if not, then they definitely might not be right for you. So, like I say, it's just that having that discovery call, and you need to be. I had a message the other day from, I can't remember which country. Somebody said, help, I need a mentor. I try and respond to everybody, but I said, well, in what? What support do you need? Of course, mentors are great if you don't know where you're going to assess with. Right, let's bring it back down to basics. Have you got this? Let's look at the business plan. Let's have you got your, they're great at stripping it back down. But help yourself. If you're wanting to float your company, then you're looking for investment. You need a mentor who's done that before, who's they've actually been through that that process. I've done it myself once. It's unbelievable. What you have to go through to float a company, to become a PLC, to all of those things. So it's really important to figure out, okay, I need help. So let's start writing it down. Which areas do I need help in? Is it branding? Is it pitching? Is it this? Is it that? Then you can start slotting in allocating a mentor for each of the relevant parts. And you may be lucky, and you may get a mentor who can help with multiple of those things, but at least you've gone in with one thing. This is what I need. can you help? Laser focus.
Brilliant. That's some really great advice. Thank you very much for that, Chelsey. So what's in store for the rest of this year, Chelsey?
Well, we continue to work with, really empowering organizations to actively take up mentoring. We're working with Mentor Cloud as the enabler to allow these organizations to scale and power up their mentoring. We're working on some very, very exciting projects. I can't really say too much if you're a bit top secret, but it's all about greatly amplifying the accessibility to mentoring. And I have created something very, very unique that's going to highlight the companies that are successfully implementing mentoring. But you have to kind of watch this space for more. And we have a new global website launching soon in the next few months as well. So very exciting, because the whole point of National Mentoring Day is that every country celebrates mentoring in their way and has their own national day. It's huge in America now, National Mentoring Day. It's huge in, we've done events all over the world, from Hong Kong to the UAE, Spain, so everywhere. We've done worldwide events now, so it's taken off because we're at the lead. We're leading the way, the UK, and in the way that we're delivering our mentoring, and the US. Other countries can learn so much, and this is about collaboratively sharing what works, what doesn't, the research, the data, and empowering others to take up mentoring. So very exciting times ahead.
Wow, sounds like a fun-filled next 12 months. Definitely have to follow and find out about these things that will be unveiled in due course. It all sounds really exciting. So that really wraps up today's episode. I hope the audience have really enjoyed our discussion. I'm sure they have. Thanks again to Chelsey Baker. Lovely to have you on the show, and we'll catch up with you again shortly. Thanks to the audience for listening, and look out for the next episode of Insights for Manufacturing. See you all next time, and bye-bye.